Welcome to the Tuning In podcast, where we talk alignment, intuition, and our internal guidance system. We cover woo-woo topics in an approachable and practical way. I'm your host, Dana Evans of Alignful.com. Hello, and welcome to another week of the Tuning In podcast. As always, thank you for being here. This week, I am recording during a snowstorm. Oh my gosh, we got hit in Colorado with a giant storm. And we got about 14 to 16 inches here. And it's fun. It's a good time to cozy up and tune inward like we do in this podcast. It's also the new moon today on November 26th as I'm recording. And that is also a natural time to go inward, set intentions, and get clear about what you're looking to create over the next cycle, the next 28 to 30 days. So I will be doing a lot of that today. And I love these cozy winter days when the sun's not out because it's a good excuse to go inward. Anyway, on this week's episode, we are talking about a simple practice, as most of them are, about creating a joy list. And I talk about what that means, what it means to me, and how you can bring that into your everyday life so that you can start to connect to more joy in your life, something that I believe we have lost track of a little bit as a society. So without further ado, here's this week's episode. Happy Woo Woo Wednesday, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day wherever you are. So today I want to talk about a really fun subject that I call a joy list. We all have different forms of lists in our lives. We have goals, we have to-do lists, we have to-done lists, which are my favorite, future lists, house lists, all sorts of things that we want other people to handle for us. But a lot of those are focused on what we don't have done yet. They're helping us get organized. They're helping us remember things so we don't forget them. And that's really valuable. However, when was the last time you wrote a list about things that you love? Things that are fun in your life, things that you enjoy. You may have written a gratitude list after listening to last week's episode where I talked about wanting what you already have. And those are really fun lists to create. But I have this concept called a joy list. And I want to talk about what that means and how you can integrate it into your life. First of all, what do you feel when I say joy? What brings you joy, and what does joy mean to you? It's very much an internal understanding of that. And for me, when I think of joy, honestly, I close my eyes and think of joy. I see like sparkle, and I feel a little flutter in my heart. To me, joy is this bright light. It's beyond happiness, beyond satisfaction, beyond contentment. It's this full body experience of glee. Like I want to squeal with happiness and excitement and contentment and alignment all wrapped up into one feeling and sensation. That to me is joy. It's very sparkly. It's very light. It's very energetic, but it also has a grounded confidence to it. That's me describing feelings. You may not have the same experience in describing a feeling, but I really am able to articulate it in that sense for you. And I hope that gives you an idea of what I mean when I'm talking to you about joy. So just take a moment and consider, what does joy mean to you? What does joy look like to you? And what does joy feel like to you? just consider that. You may want to jot it down or just experience it. But what is joy to you? Now, with that understanding, I would like you to consider as well, what brings you joy? What brings you joy? Have you asked yourself this question? What gives you that gleeful, excited, light feeling? We're very good at doing things in this society, in our life. We're very good at checking things off our to-do lists. We're very good at carrying on in life. And yet, how often do you take time to celebrate your accomplishments, your to-dos? How often do you take time to do something just for fun, just out of the joy of doing it? I teach a course called Mindset and Movement at a local college here for engineers. And one of the things I regularly assign, I'm using air quotes here, assign them, is to do something that doesn't have a purpose other than for the heck of it, just for the fun of it. And they're not used to that. Everything they do is intentional. And it's because they have to get a grade, get a paper done, meet with a professor. There's a lot of reason, not just for them, but for all of us, that we do things. But what I ask of you is, that's great and that's important. But do you give yourself the chance to just do or be for the fun of it? It's like working out because it's fun versus working out because, you're going to eat a lot on Thanksgiving Day. Or spontaneously meeting up with a friend for coffee because you know that interaction lights you up instead of staying home to do laundry. How often do you allow yourself to do things out of pure joy and happiness instead of necessity and demands and obligations? What can you do in your life that might allow more of that? See, for me, a big part of joy is freedom. And I know we all have things and people and demands on our time and energy, trust me. But as I talk about constantly on this podcast, it is up to you to protect your time and energy. And one way to protect it is to make sure that you have a little bit of time in your life for freedom to do whatever the heck you please, because it pleases you. Freedom to have an hour a week that you don't have anything scheduled and no one expects anything of you, and you can let inspired action dictate what you decide to do. And as with so much of this work, the more you take space, little mini breaks during the day to sit in quiet with yourself, the more you're able to connect with what is that feeling of inspiration and joy. Because here's the deal. When we're constantly scheduled and constantly doing, we don't have time and space for our bodies, our hearts to speak to us and actually share what it is that will bring us joy. And that's why I asked you not what brings you joy first, but I asked you, what does joy mean to you? Because it's not as simple as just saying, oh, these things bring me joy, because I understand that you may not be clear on what brings you joy right now. And that's totally okay. Having clarity on what brings you joy will come once you understand what it means for you to feel joy, to experience joy. So that is what I wanted to talk about today. What is this joy? And how can we make more space in our lives so that the joy can bubble up naturally? Just like we can't force inspiration, We can't force ourselves to feel joy. We can't say, I'm going to feel joyful today, because I truly believe that joyful is an experience and not just, a simple emotion. It is an experience that you have that is connected to so many factors at once. It's physical, it's mental, and it's emotional. And as we talk about in this podcast and in my Align in 5 membership, in order to find joy, we need to find a level of physical, mental, and emotional alignment. And in the center of that Venn diagram is this joyful feeling and inspired action. So what I would love to offer you is a way to start to connect to joy. So if you are able, I'll give you a moment, go ahead and grab a pen and a notebook, or just grab your phone and open the Notes app. And if you need to, go ahead and pause this podcast right now and pick up those things and prepare yourself. Okay, now that you have that, let's do a little exercise together. And if you've listened to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that a lot of the work we do, I'm not teaching you necessarily, but I'm asking you questions that will elicit your own answers from within. Because I believe that I don't have the answers for you, but I can help guide you to find the answers within you. And that's what we're doing today. So if you can, go ahead and sit down. First, for a moment, close your eyes and take a deep breath in. Hold it and then release. Just allowing yourself to arrive here in this moment. In fact, this counts as you carving out mindful moments for yourself within the day. This is a very short podcast episode, and this particular exercise is even shorter. But you're giving yourself permission. You're showing yourself that you care and honor your emotions, your feelings, your body, your mind, your heart enough to pause and tune in. We're just doing a little check-in. As you're ready, you can blink your eyes open. And now, right at the top of your notebook or your writing, put down things that bring me joy. And date it, because as with so much of life, this can change. And now I'm going to invite you to just start free writing. What brings you joy? And here's the deal. As you're writing, I'll guide you a little bit. Don't seek the answers from your head, from your brain, from your 5% cognitive thinking mind. Allow the answers and allow your attention to drop down toward your heart, toward your gut. That's where the answers will bubble up and show themselves to you. Show themselves to you. What brings you joy? What gives you that feeling that we talked about earlier in this episode? That experience of joyfulness. One thing that's on my list, and just go ahead and free write. Write and write and write. There's no right answer. There's no wrong answer. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just to explore. Even if you write, I don't know what brings me joy. I don't know what brings me joy. Why am I doing this? Just allow pen to paper and see what comes up. For me, some things that are on my joy list. Playing with my cat. Before bed, we like to play hide and seek. And then I chase her around the house and she chases me and I just giggle. And that's something that we lose track of. Like, to just feel like silly and full of laughter and joy, oh, it feels so good. Another thing that brings me joy is cooking. I love putting together a recipe that I found and the experience of both enjoying the food and serving it to other people for them to enjoy it. I love organizing and cleaning out, now only when it's inspired. But when I feel inspired to clean out my closet, as I did last weekend, it is so exciting and fun, and I get a high from doing that. Meeting up with a good friend for coffee, oh my gosh, it fills me deeply to the core. So much joy. I love listening to one of my favorite podcasts. It's called Crime Junkies. And it's like my Sunday or Monday joy practice. When the episode comes out, I get so excited and I drive and I listen to the episode. Those are just a few things that light me up. What lights you up? What makes you feel overcome with joy? Okay, you can put the pen down and come back to me here. Keep this nearby. Know that it's okay that you might not have an answer immediately, because you may be so stuck in the doing of life, of just getting the next thing crossed off the list because you feel so busy, so overscheduled, so trapped in commitments that it doesn't even seem possible that you could do things just for the fun of it, like, giggling and chasing your cat around the house, or putting on a fun song and just dancing, or playing with your kids. There's things that bring out that inner child, joyful feeling within you that we've possibly shut down. So as you go through your day, as you go through your week, as you go through this holiday week of Thanksgiving, notice if you feel that bubbling of inspiration from your gut or your heart to do something that might seem less practical, that doesn't have a clear purpose except to be fun. And if you have nieces and nephews or kids and you're going to see them this season, it might be playing a game with a kid, right? Because they really know how to tap into joy. And they might be exactly what you need to remind you what it feels like to feel joyful and not to just feel burdened by life. What if you allowed more spark into every day and could experience your days with some fun and laughter and lightness? Doesn't it feel good to consider not just being burdened by every day and worn down and exhausted? Even the smallest thing at the beginning, middle, or end of the day that you could bring in that just feels good is worth considering. How can you laugh? How can you feel like a child? Can you be playful with your spouse? Yes, life is serious, but it can also be fun. And with a joy list on hand, when you're actively considering what actually is fun for you, then when you're feeling so heavy in life, you can look at that list and remember, there's good to be had. There's joy to be experienced. And it is up to me to choose to bring and build joy into my day. What becomes possible for me if I laugh a little bit more? If I release the burden of carrying the weight of the world on my shoulders? If I feel lighter, how can I create and work and interact with others from a different mentality? How does that ripple effect spread way beyond just me, but into my relationships, my friendships, my working environment, the work that I create, how I interact with my kids, my pets, how I take care of myself, my body, my mind, my heart, what I choose to look for every day and see. Remember that You are what you repetitively do. Wayne Dyer says, "We don't get what we want, we get what we are." The first time I heard that, I just couldn't process that meaning, and it's taken some time for me. We don't get what we want, we get what we are. Who are you? What are you experiencing on a daily basis? And what would happen if you allowed joy to spread into every day of your life? Who would you be with more joy in your life? Thank you so much, friends. I hope this episode tapped into something deeper within you. And with some built-in days off in this coming week, I hope that you can explore and maybe try to find a little more joy and tap into what it means to have a joy list and experience that. Have a beautiful week. Happy Thanksgiving to those who celebrate, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tuning In podcast. As always, if this would resonate with anyone you know, please share the episode. You can follow along with my journey on Instagram at Dana_Evans, or find me on my website at alignful.com.